Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going through some low budget sound options to really improve the production values of your videos, short films, etc. Nothing is a bigger giveaway for low budget than bad sound, and it's one of the best bang for your buck ways to increase production value on the cheap. Outside of maybe getting a little nifty 50 to give you 1.8 aperture and really get some nice bokeh and shallow depth of field, nothing is a quicker improvement for your videos than decent sound. So I'm going to run through a few options, give you the price, and show you the differences out there on the market. Hope you enjoy. So at the moment I'm shooting this on my main camera and I've got my best audio setup already in place. I've got a Zoom H1 recorder and I've got a little Rode Videomicro. Now I'm going to cut to a wider angle that I've set up at the back there and you'll be able to see both of them in the shot. This is the Videomicro with the little dead cat on it, and I've got the Zoom H1 on top of my camera. Crucially, that's an audio recorder, which means I'm not getting the sound directly from the camera. I'm going to change over now. And here you can hear what it sounds like when I'm just using the sound on the Canon 200D, the little stereo mic built into it. It's about a meter from me, about 3 feet. I'm talking fairly loudly. The recorder's actually nearly peaking. I've got it just right. And that shows you how terrible the ambient audio is from any inbuilt stereo microphone on camera. It just doesn't do your work justice. So if you're doing a corporate event, an interview, even a little talking head thing like this, it really does ruin your content. Unfortunately, I mean, this is free, essentially. You get it with the camera, it's built in. So if you're on a real shoestring budget, just make sure you're fairly close to the camera. But there is an issue. I've got the Sigma 18-35 on the Canon 200D or the SL2. It's a beautiful lens, and the Canon 200D, rather than the 100D over there, has the dual pixel. So it follows face tracking fantastically. Now, I've got the mic off camera, but I've also got the mic on camera running. You'll hear the difference. So, with dual pixel running and face tracking, this is going to follow me as I move in and out, side to side, back and forth. It's going to follow me perfectly. The focus is fantastic on this machine. Now, you're not going to pick up the motor through the microphone. It's quite a distance away. It's about 2 or 3 feet, and it's quite a directional microphone, the Micro. It's not perfectly shotgun, but it is going to give you pretty good isolation. Whereas on camera, if I do that again, you know, even as I'm talking, you'll probably hear it quite comfortably over my speech. So if you are using on-camera microphone built in, my advice would always be probably stop the lens down a little bit. You want f4, f5, 6 to give you a bit more depth of field. You know, these days, shooting at ISO 800 or 1600, it's no issue. Pretty much every camera in the market still looks good at that setting. There's not too much noise. So stop it down. Then, once you're set on your focus, switch the control to manual so it won't change and you won't get any stepping motor noises as it's focusing, and get as close as you can to it. So something with a fairly short minimum focus distance and fairly wide, typical kind of vlogger setup. That's probably the best way to use it with the inbuilt stereo microphone. For reference, I'm about a meter away. I'm actually shooting this at 35mm at f1.8, and it just gives you a fairly soft background. I'm about 2 feet from the bookcase, so it's doing that job. But this audio setup up here with the microphone is leaps and bounds ahead of what you get in camera. Now we're going to try a couple of other setups. So let's get into those. So we've moved over to a couple of different audio setups. I still have the Rode Videomicro setup, but it's now plugged directly into the camera, so you can get an idea of what the preamps are like on this camera, and really on any of the Canon DSLRs. They're not great. So generally you're better off plugging into a recorder, but in a pinch it'll do. It's much better than the on-camera audio, so that's what you have to bear in mind. I'll put the price up now of the Rode Videomicro. You can see it's a very affordable little bit of kit. It's probably worth the extra to get a little recorder to go with it. You know, a Zoom, a Tascam, any of them really, but I've chosen the H1 just for compactness. and the fact that I've only got 3.5mm jack microphones at the moment. I'll be upgrading to XLRs in the future, but for now this is absolutely perfect. It's a great entry-level solution for me. So that's the Rode Videomicro plugged directly into the Canon 200D. However, there's something else just here. You can just about see it sticking out of my shirt. That's a lav mic. It's the Aputure A.lav. And again, I'll put the price of that up on screen now as well. Really easy to set up, really easy to use, and I've got that plugged into the Zoom H1. So it'll give you an idea of the different qualities you'll get from two different microphones. Similar budget actually, not too expensive either way, both of them very affordable, but very different in tone, so it's whatever's to your taste. Now admittedly this is easier to set up. Because I film solo, I don't have anyone helping me, so the Rode Videomicro, I've had to set up a light stand, a little boom, run the cable round and plug that in. The lav, I can just plug it straight into the recorder, thread it on my shirt, clip it onto the collar, onto the neck, and I'm done. So it's much quicker to set up. And for most talking head videos, you're not going to hear too much of a difference. This is still more than clear enough. So for most people, this is probably, if this is all you're going to be doing, a great way to go. And it's easy to upgrade as you go along and get better lav mics. This is a really good entry-level one, but obviously you can go professional with it. But yeah, so this is two more options. Hope you like those. We've got a couple more to try and then we're done. Okay, so we now have the last couple of audio setups. I've taken the Rode Videomicro out, it's not there anymore. It's just left hanging above me. I'm using the lapel mic now, the Aputure A.lav, straight into camera, into the 200D. So we'll see how this sounds. Again, the preamps aren't great, so I'm not expecting too much. I've not listened back to any of this before I've started doing the next piece, so I'm going to be listening to it as much as you are. I hope it sounds good. It should sound, again, a lot better than the camera sort of inbuilt audio. The little stereo mic they've built in, that should sound terrible. This should be, again, leagues apart, especially just because I'm isolated from the camera itself. The microphone's further away, so if I move, and the tracking motor's following me nicely, the Sigma 18-35 and the dual pixel's doing a great job, it should be doing it. But the eagle-eyed among you on that wider shot, where I can still see the Rode Videomicro, will notice something else is missing. The zoom isn't there, and that's because it's in my hand. Now, they give you, among other accessories, a little wind sort of breaker on top of this, and you can use it as a microphone. So again, if you physically can see it, it's quite small, it's compact, and it's microphone shaped for a reason. It's got the little stereo mics built in. It's a great handy microphone to have in a pinch. Sound quality is really good, of course, because it's still got all those preamps. It's 24-bit I've got it set to, whereas in camera on the 200D, you're only ever going to get 16-bit audio. So it should be a jump in quality. I don't know if you'll hear too much of a difference just because of the bit rate, but the preamps are going to be, again, worlds apart. This should sound a hell of a lot better. Hope you enjoyed hearing all these different samples. We'll play them through again at the end, but I'm also going to show you now the accessories you get with each of these and the price one last time to give you an idea of value for money. So we'll start with the Zoom H1. This is the set I got with all the accessories bundled in. It is no longer available. They've upgraded it to the H1N, you can see on screen now. Only 3 changes really. They've moved all the controls to the front of the device and improved the screen. Secondly, they have made it 2 AA batteries instead of 1, so okay, you need to use 2 batteries, but you get double the power. And they've improved the guard at the top, so it covers the microphones better, leaves them less open, but the side where the sound travels in has been redesigned to be completely open to let more sound in for more clarity. I don't know if that's really going to make too much of a difference. It looks like it will improve it, but I don't know how significantly. And you've still got all the same accessories, so you've got a miniature tripod, great for recording at a desk. You've got a little leather carry case for the Zoom, really sturdy, padded. It feels good in the hand, and it gives you security when you're traveling with it. A little microphone handle, and that is brilliant for attaching to a normal microphone stand. So without having to go and buy expensive cinema equipment, you can just go buy a cheap mic stand from any old music shop, and it'll fit on that. The little windshield you've seen, and then a USB connector cable and a plug socket to run it off the mains. So all in all, quite a comprehensive set. The pricing varies though. So in the US, B&H don't sell the whole bundle, Adorama do, but the price works out the same if you add the accessory bundle onto the device on B&H. It's about $145. $120 for the device on its own. So those accessories aren't completely necessary, but I do think they are worth it. They give you a much more complete package, and it makes it easier to use. In the UK, it's much better value for money. It's only £88 from Gear4Music at the moment. Really good deal considering everything you get. So I'm going to run through the Aputure A.lav fairly quickly. It's been discontinued in quite a lot of stores. I couldn't find it on B&H, for example, but Adorama had it for $35, Wex had it for £36, and you get everything you see here. You get that hard shell pouch to keep it all in, and that red zip means it's very easy to find in a camera bag. You get the microphone and the cable winder. You get the main piece of electronics that it all plugs into, and you get the cables to connect it to either a charger, recorders or cameras, and mobile phones. You get the tape, and you get a little dead cat for the top in case it's really windy out. So it's quite a good value for money in terms of the whole set you get, but generally any entry-level lav mic is going to sound okay, but not brilliant. To jump up to more professional quality though, it's going to cost a couple of £100 for something like the Rode VideoLink, the Filmmaker kit. And last but not least, we have the Rode Videomicro. If you get any of these, this would be the thing to purchase. Even in camera, into the camera itself, without the great preamps of the Zoom, it still sounds great. It's around about, again, £50 or $60 from so many retailers. Everywhere from the high street chains like Jessop's in the UK, all the way to sort of independent ones like Camera World, the London Camera Exchange, etc. So you do get the little dead cat included with it, and that's about it, the main microphone, and that's it. But that is all you really need. Now, Rode have a huge range of on-camera microphones, the Videomicro being the smallest and the cheapest. They do the Me version that's designed for mobile phones. So if you do a lot of vlogging or videography from a mobile phone like an iPhone, Samsung, or the Huawei P20, all those have brilliant cameras. This is an ideal purchase for it. If you want to go a little bit more professional, there's a VideoMic Go. Bit larger, bit heavier, but I don't actually think there's too much of a difference with sound quality, so I'd stick with the Micro for that compact size. The real jump is up to the VideoMic Pro, which has its own battery, has a gain level on it so you can really set it easier. But apart from that, you're jumping up to things like the Sennheiser or the Rode NTG XLRs, which again means more expensive audio recorders or cameras with that built in. This is a really good all-rounder for everyone, the Rode Videomicro. I love it. So I'm going to do a run through of all of the audio setups one last time and just run them in a series so you can hear all of them one after the other and make an opinion. This is the on-camera microphone, the one built into the Canon 200D. So this is the Aputure A.lav plugged directly into the Canon 200D. So this is the Rode Videomicro plugged directly into camera on the Canon 200D. And this is the Zoom H1 used as a microphone on its own. So this is the Aputure A.lav run directly into the Zoom H1 audio recorder. This is the best quality audio setup. It's the Zoom H1 and it's the Rode Videomicro plugged straight into that. Okay, so it's a couple of hours later. I've managed to import all the footage, have a good listen to all the different setups, especially that little run that you've just seen. And there are some surprises and some things that aren't really a surprise. We all knew that the in-camera microphone would be the worst, and by far and away it was. It'll do for scratch audio, and it's great to actually have that built in so that you can sync up in post much easier, but that's all I use it for, really. The best sounding was, to me, the Rode plugged into the Zoom H1. Without a doubt, it gives you the clearest overall audio, really good directional microphone for the price especially, and again you can tell that slight difference in sound quality between running it straight into the camera and running it into the separate recorder. Although the Rode straight into camera still sounded good. I'd be more than happy using that for a lot of videos, and I think if time's ever an issue, I'm going to do that in the future because it still sounded great. The only real difference is that the lav mic didn't quite hold up to the Rode. It is even cheaper, But I think the big difference is the fact that lav mics are great in terms of giving you wireless capabilities a lot of the time, but also giving you distance. So if you're in a really wide shot, it doesn't really matter how far away the camera is. With the Zoom H1 and a little lav mic, you can just put that in a pocket and thread it straight through. Probably doesn't even need a full wireless setup with that. It's so small, that's probably as small as most receivers are. So you could just slip that in a jacket pocket and you've got good interview audio on the go, nice and easy. But it didn't really make a difference one way or the other. It's still very warm tones. It sounded quite nice, but really not directional. It was picked up in all direction. That's what lav mics do. But it just didn't have the quality that the Rode Videomicro had. Although I still think it was a good purchase for me. It gives me a lot more options. And it means if I'm doing a wide shot in a film and I want to be able to get some audio, even if I'm going to record separately and sync it up later, it's good to have that there. It's going to be really handy. So overall, I would say the best quality was the Videomicro run into the Zoom H1. Then I would say the Videomicro run into the 200D, just edging out the Zoom on its own as a microphone. Slightly better, I thought, even though the Zoom on its own gives a really nice rich tone, sounds very sort of radio or TV presenter in tone, brings out a lot of warmth, and that's more than enough for most uses. I'd still be happy using that as well. Then the A.lav, slightly edging out, plugging it into the Zoom rather than into camera, but again, almost no difference there. And of course, last is the built-in mic in the camera. But we all knew that was going to be the case. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Bye.